Is your spice cabinet at 6s and 7s? Are bottles and jars falling all over the place when you're looking for a particular item? Well, if the answer to either of those questions is yes, you are not alone. As you can clearly see, this spice cabinet is in need of attention. So in today's video, I'm going to apply 3 tips I got from the Organized Soprano video, life-changing kitchen organizing advice that actually works. We'll see if her tips really work. This video is brought to you by Aprondiva. Pretty and practical, we believe that an apron can be a homemaker's best accessory. Visit us at www.aprondiva.com. So the first thing I'm going to do is take everything out and give it a good wipe down. And then I will put like to like. I'll see what bottles are empty, what I have that are duplicates, what can go on my long-term shelf, and then what needs to go back in there. This little bottle has fallen down. It was underneath my little spice rack. That's what I'm talking about. While I'm getting the cabinets wiped down, I'm going to be listening to the audio book Where the Crawdads Sing. My husband and I just saw it at the theater and it was really good and I highly recommend it. But you know, the book always goes into more detail than the movie can share. So I'm going to be listening to that on my device. If you want to listen to it for free, I've got a link that I'll put in the description box to audiobooks. If you set up a new account, you can listen to 3 free books and that can be one of the ones you listen to. Or if you want to just go ahead and purchase it, I'll put it in my Amazon store. So I'm going to go ahead and start listening and working. I always like to clean out my cabinets with a little bit of water and bay oil. It gives it a really nice fragrance and bugs don't like the smell of bay oil. So it helps me keep my pantry nice and clean.
Where the Crawdads Sing.
Tip number 1 has to do with uniformity. Kaye, the Organized Soprano, says that putting things into a space that are uniform, that look alike, makes a space look more organized. I'm applying this concept to the spice shelves on the door. I didn't want to go out and buy all new spice jars to create the uniformity that Kaye suggested. And actually, I was already working in that direction because I tend to purchase McCormick seasonings and spices. The jars are pretty similar, but some of them have green tops and some of them have black tops. When the jars are empty, I remove the labels and repurpose them for other spices. The ID bands on top of the jars are a bit distracting, so I'm going to take them off. That will reduce the visual clutter. Tip number 2 is to use a tiered arrangement, or as Kaye calls it, a spice step. This will allow you to see what you have, what's in back, what's in the middle, and what's in front. I already had this spice step and it had been working beautifully. The problem came in when I started overfilling it. When it gets too full, I start knocking things over when I'm trying to get at a particular spice. So I'm thinking of the spice step as a container. When the container is reasonably full, Nothing else can go there. So spices that are not used often will have to go to the long-term storage shelf. For those jars that are about empty, I'll decant the little bits into another jar or store the duplicates elsewhere. This is probably a good time to say that this video is part of the MegaMotivation collaboration hosted by me, This and That with Denise Jordan. And for the month of August, I've invited several YouTube creators like Diana Kerr and A Hoarder's Heart to join me in bringing to you the best tips and tricks on kitchen or home organization. I will put a link in the description box so that you can check it out, because you'll definitely want to make sure to see the playlist, because there will be some unique tips and tricks that may be able to help you sort out your particular home organization need. Be sure to visit them and tell them Denise sent you. Now, tip number 3 has to do with a Lazy Susan. Now, I already know that I'm going to want this particular Lazy Susan to go back up here. So I'll place that right there. This new Lazy Susan, I probably will put it right here. Lazy Susans allow you to see what's there. You can spin it around and see all sides easily. Even bottles or jars placed in the middle are still visible and accessible. My bonus tip is to use baskets to help you organize your items. The important thing to remember though is the basket is a container. Don't overfill it. Don't use the size of the cabinet to help you pile more things on top of the basket. When the basket is full, stop. So did the 3 tips that I pulled from the Organized Soprano video, life-changing kitchen organizing advice that actually work? Yes, it did. I am really pleased with how my spice cabinet turned out, and I can find what's in there. Now, it is still full. I still got a lot of stuff, but I've discarded some things that were outdated. I discarded some things that I just absolutely don't use, and I can see what's in there. Tip number 1 was to apply uniformity, and I pretty much did that right here. Tip number 2 was to use a spice step, and that is what I used right here. There are 3 steps on this particular tier arrangement. So in the back, I put some things that I have in canning jars that I use from time to time. And tip number 3 was to take advantage of a Lazy Susan, some kind of a turntable to help you corral items into one place. You can see here I used it for some vinegar bottles and cooking wines and different things like that. And then down here I used the Lazy Susan to corral a lot of the spices and things that I reach for quite a bit when I'm cooking. And then my bonus tip was to use baskets to corral various items. And so I used this basket to house just like little butter flavors and different little jars that I have, or little bottles like this that tend to fall over and get lost. And then I also have this basket that I put in some bottles of vanilla flavoring, Kaye light corn syrup, things that I don't use very often, but when I want them, I want them. And don't forget these wire shelves that I put on the door. They just give me a little bit more space for organizing. And this time I put the spices in alphabetical order so I won't spend so much time searching. One thing I forgot to mention was this tiered corner arrangement. And I put things on it that I use frequently, or since these are 2 spices that I rarely reach for, they're in the very back of this tiered arrangement. But the things in the front and on the middle are things that I do reach for often. And you can see I put many of my Spice Island jars back there. On this particular carousel, I put the things that I reach for most often. Now, I do realize that it's going to be up to me to keep this spice cabinet organized. That means that when I'm doing my daily routine or my zone cleaning, I'm going to put Organized Spice Pantry on my zone cleaning at least once a month, just to keep things sorted out. And then, of course, on my day-to-day, I will just put things back where they belong. Now, I don't live here by myself, and when my husband is putting things away, it goes in the easiest spot possible. So that's why I say it's going to be up to me to make sure that things stay sorted out. Now, if you like this video, you will love the Homemaking with Purpose show that I did, where I shared 5 homemaking lessons learned from YouTube creator Dana K. White, and also the author of Organizing for the Rest of Us. Click the link on the screen to check that out, and I will see you over there. And don't forget to visit us at www.aprondiva.com.